Dear all, welcome to this new tutorial dedicated to OBS Studio. In this super short guide of 7 minutes, you are going to see everything you can do with OBS Studio and understand why this can be considered the best and free broadcaster software available. OBS Studio is the best free solution to make recordings and live streamings. You can find the download link in the video description below. When you start with OBS, the auto configuration window opens. Dear all, welcome to this new tutorial dedicated to OBS Studio. In this super short guide of 7 minutes, you are going to see everything you can do with OBS Studio and understand why this can be considered the best and free broadcaster software available. OBS Studio is the best free solution to make recordings and live streamings. You can find the download link in the video description below. When you start with OBS, the auto configuration window opens to set some options automatically, depending on how you are going to use OBS. You can open it again from Tools, Auto Configuration Wizard. Let's understand how OBS works. On top, you get the main canvas, showing all content to be recorded or streamed. By default, this gets the same resolution of your laptop screen. At the bottom, you can define several scenes, each collecting different sources that put together realize the whole content to be recorded or broadcasted. Let's start with a new scene by clicking on the plus button. This comes with an empty canvas and gets all the audio sources detected by default, such as your system audio and your microphone. Let's see how to add other sources. To add audio sources, you can choose Audio Input Capture to catch external audio with any microphone, or Audio Output Capture to add audio from your same laptop or any other audio driver. All these audio sources get listed with their volume meters, where you can adjust their volume as you need. Check our video description if you own a Mac and you are not able to include your system audio. Whereas to include visual sources, you have a lot of options. With Color Source, you can add a plain colored background. With Image, you can include any of your images. And with Image Slideshow, you can import a slideshow of images with transitions between these. You can also use Media Source to add any video file and text to include any piece of text, typing content, and setting font family, style, size, color, and opacity. Whereas use Browser to define any address link and show any website page on the canvas. Consider that you can't interact with it in this way. Add a window capture to show and interact with the browser or any other software running on your computer without showing the entire desktop. Just choose the correct application from the list. If you don't find it, make sure that it is not minimized and retry. Whereas if you want to show the entire desktop, add a display capture source, selecting the screen to show. If you own Windows 10 and get this source completely black, check the link in our video description. If you want to record or live stream games, the game capture source is the most recommended, since this is well optimized for applications, going in full screen mode without using a lot of resources. This can start when any application goes full screen, or you can select the game running in the background. To add any webcam source, use the video capture device instead. With OBS Studio, you can also adjust the way these sources must be shown on the canvas. You can select any source and click and drag from it to move it or use its nodes to resize as you need. Pay attention to striped areas. These are outside the canvas and are completely cut when you record or live stream. Also, hold down the Alt key to crop any source. From the Sources list, you can use the I button to hide or show any source, or the Lock button to block its size and placement. You can also pull up or down any source to adjust its order of visibility in respect of others. You can also adjust properties and add effects to any source with the gear icon and audio with the buttons above for visual media. Before starting recording or streaming, make sure to check if all options are set correctly inside File Settings. For example, under Stream, you can connect any Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook account to use live stream. On Output, you can set the video recording options such as video and audio bitrate, where to save recording quality and file format. On Video, set the canvas size and also the output resolution, which is the size to use to record and stream. On FPS, you can set the output frame rate up to 600 FPS. Under Hotkeys, specify the keys to make quick actions without acting with the OBS interface, in particular, the ones to start and stop streaming and recording. You can find these buttons on the extreme right as well. You can start, pause, and stop streaming or recording what's inside the OBS canvas, also in case OBS is running on the background. When streaming, the result is saved on the online account you have connected with OBS. Whereas if you make recordings, you can find these videos on File, Show Recordings. In addition, you can open Studio Mode to work on your canvas under Preview before making these changes permanent or visible under Program, before or during any live stream. Only when you click on Transition, the live program canvas gets updated with a smooth transition defined under Quick Transitions. Consider that all your sources and scenes remain saved every time you close and reopen OBS Studio. Thank you so much for watching this super short guide. Make sure to visit our YouTube channel and website for more free and outstanding content.
We're going to cover how to use OBS Studio step by step in this complete tutorial for beginners. Hey, it's Justin Brown here from Primal Video, where we help you grow an audience and scale your revenue with online video. If you're seeing value in this video, make sure you're giving it a thumbs up. It really makes a huge difference. And all the links to everything I mentioned in this video, you can find linked in the description box below. Let's jump into it. So OBS Studio, or Open Broadcaster software, is a powerful and very popular live streaming software and screen recording app. It runs on Mac, Windows, and Linux, and it can stream to places like Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and pretty much all the major live stream platforms. With all its great features though, it can be a little overwhelming for new users. But don't worry, this tutorial is designed to get you up and running fast and walk you through all the key settings and the steps that you need to know to host your next live stream or record your screen using OBS, all in just a few minutes. Plus, I'll also share with you some low-cost resources or tools that work great with OBS along the way, like how to get a cool animated title for when you're ready to take things even further. Okay, so here we are in OBS. Now I'm going to take you through this walkthrough using a Mac, but the process is exactly the same if you're on PC as well. Now this is a brand new, fresh install of OBS, so this is what you'll see if you've never opened the app before. This big black box here in the middle is your preview area. This is where you can see what it is you're going to be broadcasting out. Down the bottom here, we've got our controls. This is where we can start streaming, start recording. We can switch between this preview mode and studio mode. So if I press on this now, you can see that we have our program monitor, which is what we're pushing out. This is exactly the same as what you were seeing before, but now we've actually got a preview as well. Now it's a little confusing because the other one's called preview mode and this is the preview here, but essentially we can queue things up on this side, and then when we press this transition button, then it will actually send it live. So if you're going to be moving graphics and those sorts of things around and you want to not be doing it while you're live, or the viewers aren't watching what you're doing while you're live, then you can use this mode, studio mode, to have that ability. For me personally, if I don't need that while I'm live, I'm going to go back to the regular mode with just the one big preview window. But this is something you can switch between while you're live. The next one down here is the settings button. This will bring up all of the settings for OBS. Now we will jump back into this one very shortly. Exit, it's pretty obvious, it's going to exit the app. Down the bottom here is pretty cool that you can actually see your CPU usage. So you can see if your computer is under load and you're potentially dropping frames or having a bad live stream if your computer is under too much stress. So you can see all of that at a glance down the bottom here. You can also easily see how long you've been live for or how long your recording has been going for as well. The next panel along is your transition panel. This is where we can adjust the different types of transitions we have between the different scenes. We'll get to scenes in a minute, but know that you can adjust your transitions here, or if we're back on that studio mode, your transitions are also in the middle here as well. Let's get back to preview mode. The next one across here is your audio mixer. This is where you can easily see and adjust your volume levels for each of the different elements you're going to have in your live stream, or each of the different sources you're going to have in your live stream. And next to that, we've actually got our sources. This is where we can add in all of our webcams, images, videos, websites, or anything we want to actually include and use in our live streams. And the next one across here is your scenes panel. Now this is essentially we can have groups of assets or different configurations for different elements or different sections of your live streams. So you might have a scene set up for just a full screen image of you on screen. The next scene might be your computer screen that you're sharing. And you might have another scene for you with some text on screen. And as like almost every program out there, you've also got your standard menus and options and stuff across the top here as well. So that's the overall interface. Let's jump into getting OBS set up. So come down the bottom here to settings. Now a lot of the settings in here are going to be personal preference and also going to come down to the type of live stream or the type of recording you're actually going to do. Things like how it looks, the theme, whether you want dark mode enabled or you want some other theme in here, then obviously that's personal preference. Likewise with some of these output confirmations here, things like being able to show a confirmation dialog box when you're starting a stream or showing one when you're stopping a stream. This is what I'll normally have on, like, are you sure you want to stop the stream? A little pop-up asks you if you want to confirm that. I'll normally have this one on, and the same for stopping recording as well, just in case it accidentally gets knocked and you don't want to stop streaming, you don't want to stop recording. At least you've got a confirmation box here to maybe save you in that case. So for me personally, those two are the main ones that I'll add on this window, but I would suggest that you have a scroll through this section and just see if there's anything that stands out to you, maybe at a later stage once you've gone through and set everything up, that you can then add this further level of refinement to customize things up for you. Okay, so that's the general settings. The next one down is your stream settings. Now this is where we get to choose our streaming service, whether it's Twitch, whether it's YouTube, Facebook. So these are the primary ones here. If we actually hit on show all, it brings up a massive list of all the supported live streaming platforms. So we're going to go ahead and select YouTube RTMP. Then we need to paste our stream key into this box, our unique key for our specific live stream. So I'll go over to our YouTube channel, grab the key. We'll come down here to stream key here. We'll hit copy, and then we'll go back over to OBS and paste our stream key into that box there. Next, we're going to come across to output. Now, this is where we get to specify our output settings for our live streams, but also for our recording as well. So for configuring up our live stream, we need to specify a video bitrate. The default here, 2500 kilobits per second, would be okay for a 720p stream. But with this number, 2500 kilobits per second, the higher we go with it, If we went to 3,000, 3,500, or 5,000, the higher we go with it, the higher the quality of the stream we're going to push through to YouTube or whichever platform we're broadcasting to. But it also means that our internet speed, our upload speed, needs to be capable of consistently pushing that amount of data through to our broadcasting platform. Now, I'll link this page down in the resources below, but this is where YouTube suggests which bit rates you should be looking at for the different resolutions. So this page tells us if we want to broadcast live to YouTube at 720p, the video bitrate range should be between 1,500 and 4,000 kilobits per second. If we're doing a 1080p stream, that needs to be 3,000 to 6,000 kilobits per second. Now we can go above, but you really don't want to be going below these numbers for a decent looking reliable stream. So in this case here, we're going to be doing a 1080p live stream through to YouTube. So I'm going to set this to 5,000 kilobits per second because I know my internet speed is good enough. So that's the video quality. We can also make changes to the audio quality here as well. Now I would recommend that you're not going less than 128. The default here was 160. That's going to give you pretty good results. 192 right up to 320 will give you higher quality audio. So if you're going to be broadcasting live with music and those sorts of things and you want to have the highest quality through, then you're going to want to pick a higher quality bitrate for your audio as well. Personally, I think anything from 160 to 256 is going to give you great results. But if you're only just speaking in your live stream, then you'll be able to get away with 160. So those are your live streaming settings. If you do want to also be recording or you just want to use OBS for recording, then that's where your settings down here. You can key all of those in. The main ones being your recording format. You can see the default here is MKV. You might want to switch it to an MP4 or an MOV file. And then you'll also want to adjust your recording quality. Because in a lot of cases, you want to actually record a higher quality video than the one that you're streaming out. So higher than 5,000 kilobits per second in this case. So we could choose a high quality medium file size or one of the other options in here as well. Now this next area here, audio, is where obviously we get to dive into some audio settings. Now there's really only a couple in here that you need to look at. The rest are going to be fine by default. The first one is your channels. By default, you want to have this set to stereo unless you specifically need to be broadcasting in mono or surround sound 2.1, 5.1 surround sound. So for most people, you're going to want to leave this at stereo for most live streams or most recorded videos. But the one that you really want to check in here is your primary audio source, which is your mic auxiliary audio, not audio 2, 3, or 4, to the first one here. And you want to change this from default to your actual microphone that you've got connected to your computer or to your camera, which is connected to your computer. So in this case, I'm going to set it to the CamLink 4K because the microphone I'm using is going to be directly connected to my CamLink, which is connected to my Panasonic GH4. So for audio, I want it coming through the CamLink. Now, even if the default setting here of default is using your correct microphone because of your system settings, I would still strongly recommend that you're manually setting this to your actual microphone just so that you don't have any issues down the track. But this next one down here, video, this is where we get to specify all of our video related settings for the quality, for the frame rate of the live stream that we're going to be creating, both here in OBS and also to whatever we're going to be pushing out to YouTube in this case, or even to be recorded. The two of them don't actually need to be the same. So you could actually be working from a higher resolution project in OBS, but broadcasting out to YouTube or recording a video file in a lower scaled resolution. And that's what we get to specify in here. So the default here is that our base canvas resolution, our OBS resolution, is at 1920 by 1080, which is 1080p, but the default is saying that we're going to be broadcasting, our output is 720p, 1280 by 720. So I'm going to hit this little drop down arrow and I'm going to switch this to 1920 by 1080. Now you do have the ability in here to pick other resolutions, or you can actually just type in a custom resolution as well. So you see that there's nothing that goes above 1920 by 1080. But if you want to broadcast in 4K, then you could actually type in the resolution numbers for 4K and you would be good to go. So we're going to go 1920 by 1080.